When I'm working in Adobe Photoshop, I rely on the histogram as a diagnostic tool. It's, in a sense, the X-ray of my patient, the image, and it can tell me if the patient is sick, and if he's sick, maybe what I can do in terms of the tools I use to make him better. That's the way I look at the histogram. The histogram for this image, well, let's check it out. Let's go up to the word window and go down to histogram. If you've opened it for the first time, you will probably be in what's called compact mode. Looks a lot like what you would see in levels. In fact, it's exactly what you would see in levels. Let's go here and say go into all channel view. Now, when I look at this, to me, that's the inside of the patient. That's the X-ray. You are looking at the channels of color, red, green, and blue, that when mixed together produce what you see over here, just like inks in an art store. You mix them together, they produce different colors. All those colors are generated by what you see here. So what are we looking at? You're looking at an Excel spreadsheet. You're looking at a bar chart. 256 bars compose this chart. They are packed so well together, they look like one big solid mountain, but indeed, they are individual pieces. What do they represent? They represent how many of the red pixels are in this image based on their brightness. Now, if you look at this, this is mid-tone to black, 0 to 128, 128 to 255. So this is mid-tone to black, this is mid-tone to white in terms of the brightness of the red pixels. We have a lot of pixels in the darker red range. We have more green pixels, but they're moving a little bit more toward the lighter areas. And in blue, we actually have a whole lot of pixels in the darker range down here. Again, mixed together, they produce what you see on the other side. When you're looking at this histogram, examine it up here first. Now, this is, in a sense, the average of all three. I would define this histogram as being rather healthy. We're not missing anything. We have everything we need to make it work. Now, with that said, check this one out. Notice a difference? The difference in this one is everything is sloshed over to the left. Remember, that means darker. I don't need a histogram to tell me this image is dark. I can look at it, but the histogram is giving me precise data on where the dark areas occur. We have almost nothing going in. Here's mid-tone gray. We have almost nothing from a dark red, green, and blue all the way over, and you see a little spike here on red, green, and blue. And that's because of the moon right here. What am I looking at? Well, I'm not necessarily looking at a bad histogram. I'm looking at a histogram that we define as low-key. And there are things that we'll talk about on actual low-key images where we fix them. I'm not necessarily convinced I need to fix this image, but it gives me information on what the image looks like. The histogram is historical information on the pixels in the image. Here's another one. This one has a lot of dark and light areas, and notice the double hump. You've got a lot of light areas in this image, and you've got dark areas. Light areas in this image, dark areas in this image. This, again, I would consider a healthy histogram in the sense that I have plenty of information stretching from there to there. The whole purpose of this histogram is to help you understand how to fix an image. If we go back to this one, let's say we decide, based on what we're doing, we need to stretch this out. That's kind of what you want to do. You want to, like taffy, pull it out and see if you can pull it and get more dynamic range out of it. And that's going to increase the lightness of the image, hopefully the detail. How will we accomplish that? Well, levels, curves, one of the two. Let's go back to levels. Let's select background. That's our image. And let's go into our half moon icon for adjustments and go to levels. Now here it is. Let me move that over. As you can see, this represents this over here, almost exactly the same. What I would like to do is see if I could stretch this thing out just a little bit. So to do that, I'm going to pull white and see if I can bring it closer to here. That, in a sense, is how you pull it apart. And in doing so, you'll notice what happens. The image will indeed start getting lighter. If we decide we want to change the colors, we can go into the individual channels. I don't want to do that. I'm just trying to get this image a little bit lighter. So this might be one way that I do it. But the histogram is important because it diagnoses the image in terms of what's wrong with it, and it can help you choose what you need to get it done. That's what a histogram is.